Barbells should always be our foundational lifts. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And when I say this, a lot of people, they want to argue. They'll say, well, this bodybuilder, that bodybuilder. Look, realistically speaking, if your goal is to be well-rounded, we're not talking about trying to be the Mr. Olympia, because you're not. Let's be realistic. Out of the people out here listening, getting advice, the odds that you're going to be on the Olympia lineup one day is 1,000,000 to 1. Most of you probably want to be well-rounded, and you should be. General fitness, if you want to look good, you probably want to be strong, you probably want to be healthy, you probably just want to be fit. Generally speaking, most people should build their routine off of basic barbell lifts. Squat, bench, and deadlift are 3 examples. Now, you'll see me doing these a lot because of a powerlifting background, but they can be variations of these, but obviously I mean other barbell movements also. And I'm not discounting isolation work. I'm not discounting machines. I literally do both. I actually own multiple machines that I have bought with my own money to have in my own home gym. So when I say that, I don't want people to think, oh, he's being anti-machine or he's against isolation work. I literally do isolation work with bands. You'll see some of it in this video. Okay? So we need to be clear. I use these tools. However, notice they're put further in the workout near the end. Generally speaking, doing your foundational work, the stuff at the start of your workouts, doing big barbell lifts is going to be better for most people. And for most people, that's going to build your base. And what I would say is if you can't get anything else in for the day, that's what you need to get. And I think that that is a good general rule, that if you can only get to a gym for a short period of time for the day, I don't care, your schedule got crazy, you're on vacation, you can only squeeze into a box gym, 2 or 3 times in a week for 20 minutes. And I've had that with clients. I've literally had that situation occur. I'm like, well, we need to do your basic lifts, right? So I have certain clients who they cared about, their squat, bench, deadlift, and their overhead press. So I'm like, you need to do those lifts. At least those lifts, bare minimum, and maybe some chin-ups or pull-ups or whatever. Okay? So I'll have them do those 5 things, and that's literally all they get done when they're on their vacation. At least we got that. Same thing when people get really, really busy. I tell people you probably need at least 3 or 4 big barbell lifts as your foundational exercises, And I've told people in the past stuff like squat, bench, deadlift, pull-up, barbell curl. There you go, done. Now, again, weighted bodyweight movements are great there too. But at the very least, if you get those done, you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Okay? The big barbell movements will put more total muscle on your body than anything else you do. Now, does that mean that they're the best exercise for any given muscle? No, probably not. We could take something like a deadlift, which will actually make you big. It will put muscle in a lot of areas. It may not be the best exercise for any one major muscle group, but it will put size into multiple major muscle groups, and that's the point. Okay, so if we have any sort of limited training economy, this makes sense. It's efficient. These things are efficient. Now, does that mean we can't fill in the gaps after? No, of course we can. On a complete program, that's what we would do. But the other thing to think about, people will say, well, can't I just build everything with smaller stuff? It's like, well, but you're leaving a lot off the table. You're leaving neural drive. You're leaving overall strength. You're leaving all this power through your body off the table. Okay? And that's problematic if our goal is overall fitness. And the same point, I've seen like Christian Thibodeau make this point, a friend of mine. He writes for T-Nation, pretty well-known coach out there for, over 20 years, right? We get along. I've seen him point out the same thing. He's like, look, those big movements, even if you're trying to bodybuild, he goes, that neural drive you get from those big exercises will continue to contribute to your hypertrophy work over time. It will continue to contribute because all that neural drive and skill you're learning has carryover. Your nervous system learns to do things with muscles a little more efficiently. It will help your overall force production. And when push comes to shove, when you really start getting more and more advanced, having developed those skills and putting in that long-term work on that to keep your neural drive and your neuromuscular efficiency high from doing the big, heavy movements, will carry over into your smaller movements. It will give you more efficiency with those and your ability to recruit muscle fibers. Just like we've noted that there have been studies showing that doing a heavy single above 90% will attenuate better muscle fiber recruitment on subsequent sets, even on other exercises sometimes. okay? Because of the neural drive component. So yes, it does matter. And when people say, well, this bodybuilder, that, it's like, yeah, but then when you even, let's step into that. Let's go into heavily enhanced on tons of drugs, genetically gifted pro bodybuilders. Yet how many of the greatest of all time still did the big heavy barbell lifts? And were brutally strong at them, or variations of them. People say, well, Dorian was strong at variations of them. He moved monstrous weight on variations of these lifts, maybe not the classic lifts, but you set Dorian aside. You'll look at those historic greats. How about Ronnie Coleman? How about Arnold Schwarzenegger? These names sound familiar? Franco Columbu. All these guys did really, really well, winning Mr. Olympias numerous times. They were all really strong at these big barbell lifts. So even then, if you're going to look at all these guys who won those shows and try to argue bodybuilding is your reason not to do it, well, you're not going to do very well in that argument. Because the majority of the best historically documented, most winning Mr. Olympias, they tended to be really strong at these lifts and do these lifts with heavy weight. Your argument's going to run out of steam there for your anecdote real quick. But what about everybody else? What about when drugs don't go into the equation? Do you not find that in general, the biggest naturals you know with the best physiques, it's the best thickness, the best look, they're all still strong at the classic barbell lifts or close variations. Like when I was younger, you know, a guy I knew at my gym, older guy, we called him older, he's younger than I am now, had the best physique I had ever met in person. Dude was like 40, 41, 42. Best physique I had ever seen in person up until maybe, you know, the last 10 years around bodybuilding stuff. He was super strong at squats. He was super strong at the incline bench. He was strong at, he didn't do classic does, he did Romanian deadlifts. Or he did stiff leg deadlifts. But he would do rep work with like 405 or like 10 or 12 reps there. He would do 405 ass to grass squats, pause them per sets of 8. Watched him double a 315 incline bench one day. You know, perfect example. He running a lot of big barbell lifts. He only trained 3 days a week, yet he had an incredible physique. So this doesn't hold water, but when we come over to strength, barbells are always going to be king because of the ability to load big structural heavy exercises that work large amounts of muscles in your body with big weights. Okay? What we find that barbells are best for, and they are very good at it. Nothing else competes with this. Nothing else competes. And then we find this to be universally true. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.